Hello, my name's Ian Cornish. I'm Julian Cornish's father. I'm going to read a story from Once Upon a Time with Winnie the Pooh. And this story is called Pooh Sets Out to Borrow a Pot of Honey from Rabbit. And this story is based on Hansel and Gretel. One evening, Winnie the Pooh was fixing his supper, as he always does, when he discovered he was all out of honey. "Oh, bother," sighed Pooh. "I wonder if Rabbit has a little schmackerel I might borrow." Pooh tucked an empty honey pot under his arm, and even though the sun was already hiding itself behind the trees on the hill and settling down for its long night's sleep, Pooh started out. He walked, and just at the point where he expected to be at Rabbit's house, he wasn't. He looked around, and the wood seemed to be quite a different one, the one that he was used to. Pooh sat down to have a think about what to do next. He found a cosy patch of soft grass behind a large rock and sat down. Think, he said. But before he knew it, thinking had turned into snoozing. While he slept, a sweet scent called out to him. Pooh sniffed. That smells like honey, he said happily. As the moon came up and lit the woods with its silvery glow, Pooh's tummy decided to follow its favourite scent. Pooh hadn't gone far when he spied an odd little house. That was definitely not Rabbit's house. Its walls were made of honey cake, and the whole roof was dripping with sweet, warm honey. "Oh," Pooh said. He couldn't resist breaking off just the tiniest bit of honey cookie and having a nibble. No sooner had the sweet morsel melted in Pooh's mouth than a pair of beady eyes appeared at the window. Nibbling like a mouse. Who's that nibbling at my house?" cackled a strange voice. Me, it's a Pooh," stammered Pooh. The door creaked open and a wicked Wuzzle stepped out. "What do you want?" asked the Wuzzle. "I came to borrow a small schmackerel of honey from Rabbit," said Pooh foolishly. "Oh, you did you?" said the Wuzzle. "Well, come on in then." Pooh followed the Wuzzle inside. The Wuzzle looked Pooh over. Plump and round, you'll do very nicely," he said. "Oh, nicely is nice," replied Pooh. "For my supper, that is," explained the Wuzzle. "Anyone who eats my house will be eaten by me." "Oh dear," said Pooh. "I guess doing nicely is not so nice after all." "Now, before I eat you, you must help me bake my honey bread and make my honey fruit juice," demanded the Wuzzle. He gave Pooh some honey to mix into the bread dough. Pooh was so hungry that he tasted as he mixed and mixed as he tasted. Then he began to shape the dough into a loaf. The Wuzzle peered over Pooh's shoulder suspiciously. "It certainly took a lot of honey to make such a small loaf," he complained. He handed Pooh another pot of honey for the fruit juice. "Now stir this in while I put the loaf in the oven. And remember, it's my honey juice, so no tasting." Pooh began to stir the honey into the juice. It looked cool and delicious. The perfect drink to wash down a schmackerel or two of honey dough, he thought. Maybe I could take one little sip while the Wuzzle is not looking. But just as Pooh was tilting the sweet juice towards his mouth, the Wuzzle turned round. "Stop!" shouted the Wuzzle. Poor Pooh was so startled that he jumped, and as he jumped, the juice sloshed in the pitcher and spilled onto the floor. "No, don't spill it, you fool!" cried the Wuzzle. He started to leap towards Pooh, but slip, slide, splat! The Wuzzle slipped on the honey juice and slid to the floor. Now it's true that Pooh is a bear of little brain, but he knew a good time to run away when he saw it. He ran out of the house and through the wood as fast as a Pooh can run. Pooh didn't stop running until he came to the patch of soft grass nestled behind a large rock, where he had first smelled the honey house. He sat up against the rock and listened for the stomping and the leaping of the wicked Wuzzle. But all he heard was the wind rustling in the grass. And soon that sweet honey smell came to tickle his nose again. When he looked around this time, the 100-acre wood looked a lot more like it should. He hurried down the path to Rabbit's house, where his friend was setting a batch of freshly baked honey cookies out to cool. Oh, Rabbit, puffed Pooh. All I wanted was to borrow a small schmackle of honey, and phew! Oh, Rabbit, I am glad to see you. Why, of course, Pooh, said Rabbit, patting Pooh comfortingly. What on earth has happened to you? Rabbit fixed a nice plate of cookies, and when Pooh had finished eating, he told Rabbit a long story about a wicked Wuzzle and a house of honey. The end.